All right. Welcome back to Bring the Juice. We got a freaking insanely good episode coming up. We're fired up in the studio. The new studio. Reoccurring guest now, Fresno State's offensive coordinator with a year under his belt as the official title, Pat McCann.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
Hey, Pat, welcome back to Bring the Juice.
Fired up to be here.
Yeah, vibes are great. Pat, I just want to break the ice real quick. You know, we were talking about golf real quick, and I mentioned you have the Bring the Juice golf package now. The game itself, I didn't watch golf until I started playing a little bit. You know, I started playing 2-3 years ago. There was a big tournament this weekend called the U.S. Open, and one of the best golfers in the world had the opportunity to win it, but he missed a 5-foot putt. What does that go to tell you?
Well, first, I know that he had some ridiculous streak of putts under 3 feet or whatever that he'd sank. I mean, some ridiculous streak. I mean, shoot, man, can't take anything for granted, I guess. I mean,
inch as good as a mile? I mean, what? Game of inches. I could not have been. I was watching it. I was getting ready to do some Father's Day activities with my dad and getting ready. My wife was getting ready. Dude missed a 5-foot putt. The first one I said, hey, golf's hard. He's a human being. Like, I've missed 3 foot. I've missed 2 foot putts. I've done a lot of things where you're like, oh, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. Golf's hard. Well, the hard part is the tee box shot. It's the next shot. Once you get on the green, it's pretty much like, hey, you could take people to mini putt, and we're gonna compete a little bit here. But to have a guy who's, I don't know if he's top 5, top 10 in the world, not once but twice, win not just a championship on the line, but millions of dollars, right? Miss 2 of like basic fundamentals of the sport at the highest level just speaks volumes.
got to be at your best when your best is needed.
Tell me about it, baby. It's crazy, but your golf game's improving.
Attempting to make it improve, yes.
What do you say your best strength is right now?
Oh, it's definitely off the tee box.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just hit bombs.
Yeah, from 30 and in is definitely my biggest weakness right now.
See, I'm a big Texas wedge man, meaning I'll putt anything. I've putted 50 yards. I have no shame. I know it'll go straight. The worst feeling is when you got a nice drive, and all you do is just tappy, little rainbow one of the green, and a nice blade into the bushes. This is why I am. Give me a break right now, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely am better from about 100 out than I am 30 out for sure.
No, it's a tough game. Pat, last time you were on the pod, we had a great conversation. One thing that I think is unique that you've done as a pattern in your career is own multiple roles on staffs at once, not just being the wide receiver coach, but being an OC and a wide receiver coach. But I want to circle back as a layer to your first one, which is 2009 to 2011. You were the wide receiver coach / video coordinator at Stonehill College. Do you think that was the first foundation really of you being like, hey, I need to be an asset to this team any way, shape, and form possible? Tell me about that experience one more time for the people that missed it the first time.
Yeah, at Stonehill, like when you're talking small college football, there's jobs that have to get done regardless. Like, I mean, somebody's got to do it, you know. And I think that what I learned early on, it's not like, it's not that, there's not a job that I can't do. It's just that there's not a job I won't do it.
Huh?
Somebody's got to do it. So, I think that's one of the things that I learned early on is if you can create value for yourself by being able to, I wasn't the best video coordinator in the Northeast 10 conference stretch. I'm fairly certain I missed a few deadlines on video uploads post game. But I think the thing I just took from it is just, whatever needs to get done, like somebody's got to get it done, and I create value for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that changed your outlook a little bit as it got into owning multiple roles on staffs in football programs?
Oh, for sure. Because on top of that, I also was highly involved in the strength program. So, we highly involved in that. I worked overnight at a grocery store 3 nights a week, and so there was times where I'd roll right into the office from stocking the juice aisle at Hannaford's in Eastern Massachusetts. So at the end of the day, I just think that it was very defining for me as far as kind of jump starting my career. But I think that it definitely taught me that you got to find people. I like to surround myself with industrious people that just that are just willing to do whatever it takes.
Right. I honestly feel personally that I'm in that realm right now. I mentioned I'm an onion harvest grind. Early mornings, long days. You're in the sun. It's like the stock market of onions. A lot of moving parts. If you've never seen it before and you see it for the first time, it's very eye-opening. But in the meantime, again, this podcast started in the basement of this house, and it's growing and growing. And there's a few announcements that haven't been announced yet involving some Fresno State things, collaborating with Bring the Juice. But it's really become a business. Like, I have a lot of people surprised when I tell them, "Oh, actually, I work 80 hours a week on this freaking onion farm," and they're just like, "Oh, this isn't your full time. This is a side gig." I think I've just always been wired similar to how we talked about, before the pod of if you're going to be an asset to a team, not only are you a wide receiver or a DB or a lineman or whatever the hell it is, you're also an L2 on kickoff and an R4 on punt. Like, it just speaks volumes. I think sports has taught me as a player, and obviously you as a coach, that you got to be as much of an asset to any organization you're a part of as much as possible. And it will take you further in life versus being like, oh, no, I'm pigeonholing myself to I only play wide receiver. Or I could only coach, this specific group and whatnot.
Well, I think when you look at it, ultimately everything's a business, right? And so, people are going to look at it like, well, I can get somebody that will do this. Like, if you can't do this or you won't do this, we'll find somebody that can. And I think that ultimately you're trying to outperform maybe what you're getting paid, because ultimately that will create more value for yourself, and then that will pay off. Like, eventually you'll get paid more as a result of that. But they'll find somebody. Like, if you want to do it, they'll find somebody that will.
Oh, next man up. Always.
Next man up. And it's always going to be like that, really, at kind of all levels in all aspects.
So now that you have 1 year of being I'm going to throw Fresno State in a big boy D1 program under your belt, while additionally being the wide receiver coach. Do you see yourself in, no matter what level, we hope you're at Fresno State for a long time, at whatever level you're at, whatever school you're at, would you want to be that combo of having control of multiple position groups? Or are you seeing it of like, hey, I'd rather just focus my time on just an OC or just a wide receiver group in the future? Because it's got to be kind of fun being a pass game coordinator and get to be in the room with the wideouts.
Yeah. The thing that I will say, I value the coaching part of it too much, and as much as I do enjoy the role that I'm in from a coordinator standpoint, I really, really, really enjoy coaching players.
Yeah.
And I think there's a chance that you lose that kind of connection-based part of the coaching aspect the more you remove yourself from an actual position, because I think then now you're inserting yourself to coach as needed and where it needs to happen, as opposed to, like the day in or day out. I love walking into the receiver room. It's a fun room. It is. It's entertaining, but I really value the people aspect of it and the coaching aspect of it. So that's something I don't necessarily want to get away from. I think that as the rules evolve, and just football, whether it's college football, NFL, like, it's all changing all the time. But as the roles evolve, that's one of the things I want to make sure I don't get away from, is the actual coaching part of it. That's my favorite part.
I've never thought about it from that perspective. That was a great answer. No, I feel like I'd be the same way. Because I'm not saying OC's just X's and O's, because obviously there's a lot more to it than that. But when you're the position group, especially in a room with personalities like an offense, like a wide receiver group, that is some entertaining shit right there, man. Like, there's a lot that can go on. And wide receivers get a bad rap sometimes, I feel like. Everyone just pins them as, they're the divas or the prima donnas of the team. I think being a wide receiver coach, especially you being also the OC, like, you have such an opportunity to be like, no, this is what we want to be known for. We want to be known as the guys who we get our blocks, we get inside hands, and we drive, and we come in with a little thump. Like, we don't take plays off on the backside. We like to finish between our man and the ball. Like, to be able to be the wide receiver coach who takes pride in that shit, as well as the offensive coordinator who's like, this is how you finish a play. This is how you do this shit right here. Like, it's unique that you have the microphone for both of those.
Yeah, the cool part for me is that, you know, I'm gonna have as many as 4 or 5 guys on the field at one time, right? You know, so I'm there's a significant chunk of the offense that revolves around receivers, and ultimately, like, to be as explosive as we want to be on offense, like, yeah, receivers got to block, receivers got to make plays downfield, and I've got a lot of responsibility to make sure that that's getting done. But I even go back to just kind of what we started off with. You know, no job too big, no job too small. Like, there is an aspect of it. Like, explosive runs happen because of receivers block. You know, and the thing we say all the time is, you know, 0 to 5 runs, that's on the O-line, 5 to 10's on the running back, and then 10 plus, that's the receivers. And so that's got to be an element of pride taking. But it's the same thing in the pass game too. Like, we got to make plays, you know. And so, you know, it is cool to be able to be highly involved in a room that's so involved with what we do on offense.
Right. Some people, when the pressure's on, reacts differently. I think the ultimate people that succeed in life, they can handle the pressure. They can handle, you know, when a play needs to be made. They want the ball. Versus some guys, there are guys out there like, I'm not ready. I don't want it. I'm thinking of the dude on Twitter who's like, "Moment's too big, pissed down my leg." Like, one of those type of deals right now for some reason. But your first real challenge was game 1 this year as an OC was Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
Went into the Big Ten country, knocked him out. Beautiful offensive freaking performance. How fired up are you to go in with a plan, execute, and walk out with a dub as your first game as an OC for Fresno State?
Yeah, that was, it's funny you said. I was literally just reflecting back on, you know, because you always think about, like, just moments, and that moment when Eric Brooks, when Mikey threw that slot fade to Eric Brooks for the game winner, like, that, it gives me chills right now. Like, you know, that it's something where that moment will be kind of etched in my memory. That's like one of those, like, core memories for me. Awesome, you know. And so, yeah, that was it was an awesome feeling. You know, you reflect back on it, you're like, man, like, we did some cool things, and that game just was really, it was exciting to see Mikey Keene in his first game, you know, as starting quarterback. So you see Eric Brooks, you know, who just made the team up in Calgary, you know, and he's killing it up in the CFL. You know, I mean, he's 5'7", 170 pounds. He's out there going for 170 yards against Purdue, right? Like, there's just so many things that I look back on that, you know. I'm like, you know, Elijah Gilliam stepping in when Malik got hurt. You know, there's so many things about that game that, you know, that made that happen. Right. And yeah, that was a cool one to be a part of.
Yeah, shit, I was there. We were having a great time. That was a damn good one. With that being said, you know, one of the beautiful things I think of college football is just the chance that anything can happen on any Saturday. You know, there are certain sports where an undefeated UConn women's basketball team that's, you know, 30-0 goes in to play a 10-20 Pitt team. UConn's probably going to win. But I just feel like college football has this sparkle in it where anything can happen any given day. I don't care how big or how small of a school you are. Like, you walk into a football game knowing you're about to go into war, literal war. And nothing will happen unless you believe in yourself. Nobody else can want something more than you. Obviously, Purdue, that was shown, and it was brought to fruition, and it was executed, right? When you get these rare opportunities, and I bring it up, it's like my era, we did play Bama when they were 1 in the country, and they had the Tuas and the Jalen Hurts and all the wide receivers that are dogs in the league right now, all these dudes, these big running backs. Big Bad Bama in Tuscaloosa. We had the opportunity to go over there. And, that preparation that week, it wasn't game one, so it was a little different. But that preparation that week, like how to approach Bama, the way Tedford carried himself, the way that there was, like, whatever you want to call it, like we did bleed. Like, hey, we're going to go on there. They bleed like we bleed. They put their shoes on the same way we do. Like, let's go after them right now. Having the opportunity to go against the national champs, Michigan, game one, how dialed are you already right now? Just like American Sniper style.
Yeah, I would say that just the entire off season, is just a different level of focus, and I wouldn't necessarily put it on the Michigan game. I think it's for me personally, it's being a year later into the process, a year further. But I think that we're Fresno State. Like, our guys aren't gonna be scared. They're gonna go into the game expecting to win. Like Fresno State, like anybody, anytime, anywhere. Like, that's the mentality. Just put the ball down. And so I think when you start looking at it like that, like there's naturally motivation built into that. But I think the cool thing about for example, this team is like, we got bigger aspirations than just that first game, but what it does do is it provides a level of focus right now. Like, we cannot dip our toe in the water. It's like, we got to make sure that what we're doing right now, our shit's got to be buttoned up from the moment we, I love the ground running. Like, we got to go. Have to go. But so that's, I think, the thing that I would just say about a game like that is that, like, it just makes sure, like, get your shit right, because it's time to go. We cannot feel our way through this. No.
God, I love that. It's true, though. It's true, and you said it best. You've been saying all down recently. Notice that on your socials. What's that? Is that your slogan right now? Is that one of your go-tos? Is that your go-to?
It is my go-to. I don't care what just put the ball down. It's time to play. Like, it's time to go.
I might need to put that on a hat.
Don't beat me to it.
There's a couple of changes happening, this year within college football and the games evolving. But one thing that is true, we'll get into that in a sec, is, you got 6 home games this year, you got 6 away games. The schedule's pretty awesome, but it doesn't matter who you're playing, you're going to play. You can't pick your schedule. You're going to find a way, whether it's Michigan, Sac State, Wazoo, UCLA, Air Force, it doesn't matter. You got to play. Job at hand, go execute. That's it. Like a triggered dog. That's all it is. But from an offensive coordinator perspective, a coach's perspective, how different or what advantages do you see playing at home versus on the road? Obviously, at home, we could tell the crowd to be quiet when offense is at work. But do you change anything on your aggression or, just the overall swagger going into a game when you're playing at Valley Children's Stadium?
I don't think I change. I do think that the players definitely feed off of the energy. Like, that the place is electric. Place fucking, like, it's electric on Saturday nights, and that's been, like, I'm transitioning down to the sideline because I sat in the box all season and I hated it. And I went to the bowl game on the sideline. Yeah, I'm like, man, I missed the sideline, but I missed the sideline at Valley Children. I miss Fresno State home games on the sideline. Yeah, and so, I think that that's something our players feed off of. I think the main difference I would just say is, you're just probably a little more aware of situations and how you got into them maybe on the road, where all of a sudden you're like, all right, man, it's about to get really loud here on third down. As we're getting ready to snap it, like, we've got to make sure that whatever we're doing fits that, versus at home, like you said, maybe it's a little more controlled, right? Given the circumstances, given the situation. But I wouldn't necessarily say our approach changes, but I do think there's certain things you're more aware of, on the road. You have to be, especially depending on the environment. Certain places are definitely different than others, but that's us for those other teams. Right. Like, that's the thing about Valley Children. Like, that, man, like, it's going to be hell for the other team.
Oh, I've talked to enough dudes who have played at that stadium. They're like, that shit is rocking. What? Not even close to the Mountain West. I don't even know who second place is. They can have their own debate, but I think Fresno State is the undisputed home atmosphere without a doubt. Even Oregon State. I interviewed Jake Coletto, the dude who was a stud that year, and he was like, "We were not expecting that atmosphere. It rocks there." You say you moved to the sideline now. I noticed you do that in the bowl game. Was there a specific reason, or is it just because you missed the sideline vibes?
Well, a little bit of it, when with Coach Tedford not there, I was like, you know what, just from a presence standpoint, because he's such a presence, right? And so I was like, you know what, I think I can affect the game down there maybe a little bit better. I really trust the guys that like kind of like our younger guys that help me out up in the box. And so I just felt like, it was something where for this game, I think I need, and basically, it's funny because Mikey Keene, I wasn't sure going all the way up until we flew out there, and he and I are sitting on the plane next to each other, and he's like, if you're not going to do it for this game, you're not going to do it. Like that's not going to be the first game.
Right.
So like, so might as well try it. So the bowl game was like literally like trial run of it, because, I've called more games than just the season, but like, I've never done it from the sideline. Other than half or, a quarter of the game at Arizona State when headsets went out. So for me, it was just a little bit of a transition where I was like, I'm going to try this for the bowl game.
Right.
And like I said, I trust the people around me just as far as being able to help me with stuff. And I missed it too much.
I would admit, I could not do the box. I mean, I've been in the box before, or I've seen the box before from a, POV perspective, and I get it. It's very analytical. There's a lot of communication going on. You want to bring the juice right now?
Yeah.
You want to talk about juice? You want to talk about juice? Go let the defense recover a fumble real quick, and this place going ape shit. And what are you going to do as an OC? B, we're going to score. Like emotion gets, I don't want to say in the way, but you are fired up. You're in that hole. You're like, hey, go do this, go do that. We did this all freaking week. You know what's going to happen. Now go execute that shit. Tell them where the ball's going. Let them stop it. They're not going to stop this shit. Go, do it, execute it. You're getting me fired up right now. That fucking love that shit.
Well, for me, like I'll hit 25,000 steps on a game.
25,000.
I can't sit still. Like I got too much energy, and so me being down on the field, like I'm at 25,000. Like that's like I'm like 15,000 steps.
How many miles is that? I have no idea.
Shit, I don't know. A lot.
We got a math guy. Got a math guy in the back here. Fuck.
But the point is, like, man, I got too much energy to be sitting in a box, and not being able to experience, what's going on down there. And again, for me, I think the main thing was that I just felt like from a clarity standpoint, like I don't see it so much better up top that I can't do what I do down there.
Right. Is there any coaches, one of my questions today was going to be, is there any coaches that you idolize, see their path, their projection that you're chasing, but are there any coaches out there that they strictly call plays from the field that you know of? Or is that kind of a rare thing?
There's a lot of guys that do it. Yes. There's a lot of times it's the guys that are now like the head coaches that, got there because of being play callers, but there's a lot of guys that do it.
What about, so the original question of, you're young, you're still a young cat, man. You're a young cat. You look great. You look great. But is there a guy or a couple guys who you say, hey, I idolize their play calling. I idolize their path on how they've stepped up success up the ladder of the coaching tree, or, gone from a lower division school to a bigger school, or to the league, or whatever it might be. Like, everyone takes different assets from other people and they put those tools in their toolbox. I know I do with anything. I watch Joe Rogan, I watch part of my take, I watch what guys are doing. Hey, I like this, I don't like that. As a wide receiver, we talked about this last time too. I really like how Cooper Kupp runs this route, but I like how DeAndre Hopkins does that, or Devontae Adams runs that slow go, or whatever it might be. Like, I'm gonna put that in my bag, right? Who are some coaches out there that you put some of their assets in your bag?
The first one I'm gonna say is Ryan Grubb.
Yeah.
Like what he's done, and I guess probably a little bit of it for me is like the relatability of small school and kind of working your way up. You know, I mean, we started in similar beginnings as far as the coaching profession, and so you know, that's somebody that I look up to, and obviously doing it at a super high level and did it, you know, at a great clip here, you know, and now he's evolved. But there's so many people. You know, there's a guy that I forget, he's an NFL offensive coordinator now. When I was at UC Davis, we interviewed the guy for our tight ends job in a hotel room back in like 2014 or something like that. He's an NFL offensive coordinator now, and he's interviewing for the tight ends job in a hotel room. You know, I mean, it's so, you know, there's just certain guys that, you know, you kind of see, and you see them evolve in their paths, and you go, man, like, there's a element of relatability for me, you know, but it's 100%. You're sitting there, you watch guys, you know, there's a lot of people that do really good things on offense, and maybe it just doesn't fit us.
Right.
You know, so that's what half the challenge there too is going like, man, like that fits us, you know, like I'm going to kind of, you know, steal that, or I'm going to, you know, work off of that. And, you know, I think one of the cool things about the profession of coaching too is a lot of these guys, like, they're willing to have these conversations. Like, they're willing, they want to grow too. So, like, we're able to have some back and forth, you know, and so that's been the cool part of just kind of connecting with some of those guys too.
What about, and, you know, obviously coaching, there's so many elements. There's the X's and O's side of things, the actual play calling and the situational football side of things. And people have always asked me, in my experience of just going through multiple different offensive coordinators and even just like head coaching changes at Fresno State, like, who'd you like versus this, blah, blah, blah. I have good things to say about everybody. But some guys are better at knowing football, and some guys are really good at developing young men. And everybody I've talked to who's brought up Tedford in the past is like, everybody says Teddy is a great developer for young men. He's a good, I don't know if it's at a good age. I don't know if he's at a good, he just has a lot of wisdom or what it is. But as you continue to grow in your roles, like even being an OC, like you have enough pull. You're top dog in the clubhouse, man. Like, what do you do to help develop young men?
So that's a really open question. I could take that a lot of different ways.
Fuck yeah, baby. Let's bring the juice.
Hey, man, so, you know, I think the first thing is like my job at the end of the day, like, I genuinely believe and I appreciate the number one role in my opinion is like my job is to help people get better. Right. Like, that's my number one job. Like, it's to help people get better at what they do. And so, like, for me, like, I use football. Like, I'm such a big believer in like success leaves clues and trying to be great at what you do. And so that's really, if you're saying like, what am I trying to instill in guys? Like, I'm trying to instill that, like, man, like be great at what you do, like trying to like really striving to be great at what we do. So, you know, that's probably the main influence. I want guys to really aspire to be great at what they do. So when they're done with this, whether like I want to be the best dad I can be, I want to be the best husband I can be, you know, like those are the things that I kind of take from the coaches that affected me. You know, it's just that mentality. It's probably that, you know, and, you know, I think one of the things is like being in the coordinator role that's probably been the coolest thing for me is like, I get to connect with other position groups. Like, it's not just the receiver. So where I say I love going in the receiver room as much as I do, I also love staying in front of the office. I love gassing up the O linemen when they have like super high effort plays, putting that on the screen.
Right.
I love pointing out, you know, maybe it's a running back that's chasing something from the backside because he didn't get the ball got thrown somewhere else, but he's taking off trying to find a block. I love being able to highlight guys when they're doing stuff like that and kind of get in a group to aspire to be great at what they do. You know, so I think that's probably the main thing, though. I would just say, like, man, like, I'm really about like trying to help people just be better and get better.
Is there any idols outside of the game of football that you have studied, read about, observed, and you say, hey, yeah, this guy didn't play football. This guy was just a leader. And you put those tools.
Yeah. And I'm a big reader.
Yeah.
So there's probably like a lot of things that maybe I've taken from certain people. For example, the book Legacy about the all-black rugby team down in New Zealand. And, there's just so many things that, like you can apply with their things to life stuff, not just football.
Right.
I guess I could go down the list of people just as far as, or probably more books that I've kind of taken stuff from.
What's some of your favorite books?
And The Obstacle is the Way. It's probably hands down my favorite book by Ryan Holiday.
Okay.
He's also got Egos and Me. That one. Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Yep.
That's a big one for me. I think that's one of the things that I've kind of taken, some stuff from. So, yeah. But, like I said, I'm a big reader. There's a book by Cal Newport called Deep Work. Like, it's just about how do you really immerse yourself in the process of getting better, and so just, different things like that.
Have you ever considered making your offense read a book together?
Yes. But I like at the same time, like, I'm also empathetic. Like, those guys, like, they're working so hard right now. If all of a sudden I made them read a book, they'd be like, real coach, like,
yeah,
reading a book, like, I'll recommend books.
Sure.
Sure. I've been known,
enough shit on.
I've been known to recommend them, but like I want to play for me. Like, I want to, like, man, this dude made me do a book report. But that's there is a time and a place. So, but I'll pull quotes. I'll put different things up in front of the room.
All about quotes.
Oh yeah, quotes.
What's your favorite quote right now?
Shoot, I'd have to. I
got some on the wall.
I got a quote list in my, you got one. It's in my phone. I'd have to pull that out. So
it's all right. What about? I feel like just your definition of leadership right now. How would you define that?
Probably evolved a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But it's about trying to get everybody going. Like, that's really my number one thing. It's like really trying to get everybody in alignment, everybody pulling the same direction, all arrows going the same direction. And that's really what I'm about from a leadership standpoint. What I'm trying to get the players who are leading, like, hey man, like, we got to get everybody pulling in the same direction. Like,
everybody reacts differently too. I think anybody who's an athlete who's once in a leadership role can definitely relate to the concept. Like, all right, most sports do conditioning, right? It's football specifically. You got your big boys, you got your big skill, you got your skill guys, and when you're conditioning, typically the big dudes are the weaker links. There's usually one or two of them that are they gotta get picked up a little bit. But regardless, when you're doing Andy Ward workouts, sometimes shit hits the fan. It gets a little hard. You go into this danger zone, right? You got this inner bitch inside of you that's got to go one way or the other. You're going to grit your teeth and go a little harder, or you're going to fall off the deep end, put your hands on your knees, and huff and puff a little bit. And having those players, those teammates who eventually become your leaders and understand, and you don't get this as a freshman. Because as a freshman, you're doing your job, right? But over time, like, there's some guys you could yell at, you could mother ass, you could do whatever you want to, and they'll take it, they'll look you in the eye, they'll take it, they'll walk away. They'll know they either fucked up or got to make a change or got to do something, right? There's some dudes, they come from these different backgrounds, and you can't do that. It has to be that, hey, buddy, we got to pick it up. You might have to do a rep with them, right? And understanding that not everybody responds the same to just one style of leadership, I think, is one of the hardest things to learn as a leader, especially when you say point arrows. Like, you're as strong as your weakest link. I truly believe that's true. I think any championship team that performs at a high level, their quote unquote worst player is a fucking dog still. And that just shows that you're a unit, like some Navy SEALs, night vision, going to do what they got to do versus a couple badass soldiers. A unit of Navy SEALs going through the dark in the water with night vision to take out whoever the fuck the bad guy is that day is way more dangerous than 3 American snipers on top of the building. They just are. And also, you do not want to fuck with that. Right? Yeah. And if I'm a team leader, or I'm a man in charge, or I'm a guy who understands this is my role, this is my team, if I can be compared to a Navy SEAL night vision, go fuck you up unit, fuck yeah, we're going to win. Are you kidding me? Versus a couple guys with a couple accolades, a couple soldiers. Nah, man, we want to be that unit. I'm talking like, oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. But like, if you could develop that type of just culture, it becomes rare. And I like, and you said it, and like you're true to it, but it's not just. I think one of the hardest things about being a leader is not just being the dude, the leader, but that first follower is also extremely important because we talked about staying in the kitchen. I won't get into specifics, but some dude might be, dicking around in the back, right? And a dude decides to step up and say something. Now, there's 2 things that could happen. Everyone could laugh at him or tell him, hey, bro, shut up. She's trying to be coach. She's trying to be my dad. Or another dude could stuck up behind him and be like, yeah, that shit ain't fun. Yeah, that's not the standard here. That's not how we do things here. That's not part of our championship winning culture here. And that dude who steps up and backs up that leader, 1, becomes a leader also. 2, will become your leader once that first dude's out. I feel like we need like a whiteboard right now for me to get what's up? But are you following me?
No,
you know what I'm talking about? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm talking crazy here, but I just feel like I've been in so many scenarios where like you want to win in anything in life. Somebody has to lead. But not only that, you need everyone else to be bought in to follow. And that's hard to develop that type of culture, but it does start at the top.
The art of leadership is, in my mind, your ability to, 1, develop other leaders, but then also develop the followers too. And I think that's a huge part of it. You said it, like you gotta manage, like not everybody can be led the exact same way, but you can all get up going in the same direction. And so like that to me is the art. Like I got to find a way to reach, 50 something different individuals. Like as the offensive coordinator, I got to get 50 different individuals plus the, 5 or whatever position coaches, plus the GA, plus the QCs. That's 60 different personalities, 60 different people right there.
Right.
And one thing that you say might be super motivating to one person and super demotivating to the other person. And so your messaging is everything. And I just think that for you to be able to get people on board and following, but also developing other leaders, so then water is running downhill. I mean, that's the art of it. That's the art of it. And that, I think that's where it comes back to like how you treat people and knowing your people and knowing, like really kind of serving people. It's finding a way, like, how can I help you help us get to go in the same direction?
And a college football locker room might be one of the biggest mixing pots of personalities, emotions, whatever you want to call it, possible, because guys are from every corner of the world. They were all raised differently. They all had a high school coach who'd let them get away whatever the fuck they want as long as they did their job, or some hard-ass military dude, or they had this parent, or they didn't have that parent, or they did this, that, and the other, to where you pop it in and it's like, you got to weed it out. But, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, where it's like, you get a group of young men that have a common goal together. They understand that there's a task at hand, and you get a few good sergeants like yourself in charge, Coach Tedford in charge. I mean, you go together and to Michigan, like, you're not flinching. You're fucking Navy SEALs with night vision goggles on, saying, what are we dropping, boys? Dig. Let's go. Keep riding. Fucking. All right. Transitioning. Mikey, I asked Mikey, I said, hey, you got any questions for Pat? He said, yeah, I got one. Headsets and helmets this year. It's officially a thing. How do you think it's going to change the game for college football?
I'm fascinated by that. Like, yeah. I think it's going to drastically change. I think that because I'll say this too. There's two pieces that I think the other side of it is the in-game technology, being able to have film on the sidelines.
You can have TV on the side.
We can have iPads and stuff like that. So that to me, there's kind of two different technology pieces that I'm really curious to see how that impacts the game. The in-helmet stuff, though, I think some people are going to take it and run with it. I think some people are going to screw it up, and at the end of the day, for me, we got to sit down and look at it and go, what's the best way for us to use that? But I think it's going to be a huge impact on college football.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be some growing pains for sure. And does defense get a green dot then?
Yeah.
So it's like the league. And what, it turns off at 10 seconds?
15.
Damn, so you got to get it. You think some schools will just eliminate signals as a whole?
Yeah. I think some schools will probably start huddling more.
Huddle, earmuff it, go.
Yeah, I think you'll see more of that. And, I think it's anything from, the coach telling him what number to call in the wristband to calling plays like the NFL where they're calling full play call. I think you'll see all of it.
Is that a different stress level on an equipment manager now, I think?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. I'm sure that equipment.
What happens if it's, I can't hear shit, and you're like, I burn a timeout?
Yep.
Yeah, you're pissed. Mikey's pissed. The emotions are riding. But now it's like someone's ass is getting ripped on the equipment manager side of things.
Yeah, those are the things. Like you said, there's gonna be growing pains. I don't know all those things. I think that how we're gonna use it. I got a lot of confidence in what we're doing with it. But I think ultimately, I think it's gonna be a big deal around college football.
Do you think? I think this is me to shoot from the hip here. I think if you could detailly execute this, it's going to be a huge fucking advantage. Huge. I've never had the headset. I don't know how it works. My buddy Michael Walker, he's over there, had a hell of a journey last year. And I think he played on 5 teams in 7 weeks. And then he finished his last 9 weeks starting linebacker for the Steelers. And it was like third weekend, they gave him the green dot. And he did the green dot a little bit when he was in Atlanta. And I was like, how is it? He's like, it's so weird telling TJ Watt what to do over the freaking microphone. And I don't know, man. Like, I've heard so many different stories about how it's an advantage and whatnot. But, are you going to be the only one who has access? Or like, because I've never had the green dot. Do you have microphones and there's 15 people that can talk to you? Is it just you? Is it Tedford? Like,
no, I've got a button I can tap in. Okay, so if I don't press the button, then I'm just talking to the coaches.
And then you could press
as soon as I press the button. Now I'm talking. Now everybody's hearing
school intercom.
Yeah, everybody's the coaches are still hearing it, but I'm talking to the quarterback when I press the button.
You ever been to a NASCAR race? They have these like headsets you could rent for $20. And you could hear what the pit crew's saying to the drivers. I know you probably got to do that in college football or NFL football. It's a nice thought.
Oh, that'd be cool. Hey, man, maybe we can get Bulldog Red going on or something like that.
So I'm doing. Let's get a the Beats headset or something. I'm interested to see how it goes. I can very well see in like week 3 ESPN highlights, and they're like, so and so didn't get the play call, they snapped it, or everyone was not on the same track. They saw a signal, but the quarterback was thinking something else. I think Jeff Tedford's the perfect guy. I'm just thinking like Friday walkthrough, Fast Friday scenarios where we're doing all the little special teams plays and all the different every scenario possible in football.
Yep.
I feel like he's gonna wrinkle it a little. Like, headset went out. 2 minutes to go. What are we going to do?
I'm glad you just said that. I'm actually going to go make note of that. That's something like that's going to happen. Like I said, I feel pretty good about our play with it. But at the same time, I do think that it's a huge advantage. Assuming that it all rolls out and they're not the issues.
Well, and it's not only, obviously, you're now in a position where Mikey's a starter, like, what's happening there, but God forbid if he had hit a cramp or something like that and somebody else had to come in, like, those guys need to have the exact same comfortability of the reps, not only of just calling the plays and executing them, but being able to have the communication line. Dude, it's when you're on the game, I mean, bullets are flying, baby. If you're at the big house, you got 115,000 or something like that going ape shit. Like, that's a lot to hear, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested. I'm very interested. The game's also changing a little bit, you know. Like, I feel old saying this, like, from my era to, like, the current era, but, like, recruiting has just changed. It's become a different thing. Obviously, there's all these conference realignments and all that. I don't know if I'm the new athletic director or not. It's still up in the air. But, like, just the concept of NIL. If you were given, you know, a blank piece of paper, and they said, Matt, go and draw up what you think the rules should be of NIL. What sounds fair? Like, do you have anything that you're firm on or that you think should happen? Or it's such an open conversation to where there's no wrong answers. I heard Lane Kiffin go off on a speech about this. I've heard Saban talk about it. I know Teddy's brushed on it. Like, what do you think? Like, what's the answer?
I think I don't want to pretend to have the answers, but what I do think that needs to happen is somehow, some way, there needs to be some type of salary cap. I don't know if it's by conference, by whatever, but you know, really what happens is you got, you know, places that are really just trying to just stockpile talent, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then hey, at least the guys got paid, type of thing. And you know, I think the combination of the transfer portal with the NIL stuff is what's made it really difficult.
Yeah.
You know, and neither one of those on their own is the wrong thing, but the combination of the two makes it tough.
Totally.
But the one thing I would just say, I guess, is enforceable contracts. You know, just that's the one thing. That's the difference between the NFL and college football. I mean, you got guys.
2-year deal is 2-year deal.
Yeah, you know, like at least you know he's on your team, and you know he's on your team for a set period of time. You know, that'd probably be my thing. Is that, you know, like I think that NIL is the right thing.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, the transfer portals, you know, for if used right, is the right thing. But I think the enforceable contract piece, you know, like that's the difference between the NFL and what college football is doing.
Kirby Smart had I don't know the exact quote, I won't read it correctly, but it's something along the lines of like, basically that, like, hey, I'm all for the kids making money. I'm all for it. If it's not the right fit for you, you want to get another opportunity, whatever you want to do, to each their own. Like, you're a grown-ass man after you're 18 years old, technically. Like, do what you got to do. In college football, it's a ticking time bomb, man. You only have a certain window of time. Well, the one guy from Miami has, like, hours. But I'm saying, like, you only have a certain window of time. Blue's walking in here. Don't get distracted. But basically, he's in the position of where Kirby Smart says, yo, we understand that people got to get paid. We understand people could do this, that, and the other. Yeah, we just make it to where, like you said, there's a closed period, like a true closed period. Like, hey, maybe it's February 1st to April 1st. It's open range, right? But after April 1st on, like, once you're out of school, there is no, oh, I'm going here, I'm joining the portal there, I'm doing this, that, and the other. Like, you either are going to have to earn a year, which I don't think guys will do. They'll realize that's a bad business decision in general. Or, you know, you stick it out and you go back to what college football was, which is you don't like your situation, you have to fight for your spot, you have to find a way to win. I hear old school players be like, yeah, I don't like the transfer portal. I had to sit beside so-and-so and it made me better. And I do think there is an element that has been forgotten from that. I hate seeing freshmen come in and be like, yo, I wasn't given what I was promised, maybe, or I thought shit was sweet, I was going to be the dude. And, you know, first, as a recruit, you're treated very highly. You feel at least treated very highly. Then you get there, you're like, shit, man, I got to go take a dude's job. This guy's been trying to get this job for 2-3 years, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's only 3 or 4 receivers on the field at once, or there's only so many linemen at once. There's only one quarterback at once. And I think people press the eject button pretty easily. Versus, you got to understand, there's so many elements, man. And I've told dudes before, I've been on the question. I'm like, dude, don't transfer. Like, do you realize if this guy goes down or gets ineligible or some bullshit happens, like, you're the fucking dude all of a sudden. And in life, it's not teaching good things in life just a little bit, because when adversity strikes and you get punched in the face, like, you can't run for the hills automatically. Right there, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson's on the fucking wall, baby. But I do 100% agree. NIL should be a thing. Transfer portal is a benefit, but they do need to, rope it in. You got to get some walls up or something.
Well, out of everything you just said, that I'm gonna hit on is, if so many of these guys, they say their goal is to go to the NFL.
Yeah,
the NFL does not care if you're happy or not. Like, if you sign a contract with us, it's like you're on our team until you're not. And so ultimately, I look at it like, man, if you say you want to go to the NFL, you're gonna have to compete anyways. One, you don't get to run, when things don't go your way. Just the next team's not just gonna take you necessarily, right? You gotta take opportunities as they come. And then two, like, I look at it like, man, like, I would, like, iron sharpens iron. Like, why would you not want to go to a place? Like, I think about like some of these schools, it's so hard to get on the field at some of those places that you have to work that much harder, and then you become that much better. So then when you do get on field, like, you really went and you like grinded and earned that. You became that.
Right.
That those are the guys that are gonna make it in the NFL. The guys that had to like become something when you're combining talent with that type of mentality, right?
I interviewed a guy, good buddy of mine. His name is Matt Hereford. He's a little bit older than me, but he's pretty much the me of Alabama. Okay. Walked on, played special teams, earned a spot, got respected by a lot of dudes. And, we were just chopping it up. We had a couple of good podcasts together. But one thing that I thought was super unique, and I just asked him, I was like, hey, how'd you go up depth chart? Like, how'd you make the bus? How'd you dress? How'd you do all these things? And his experience was much different than mine, from like an actual, like, making the bus players perspective, getting opportunities perspective. But he just said, he's like, I worked hard. I did extra work. I did everything right. Blah, blah. He's like, but at Bama, that gets you ahead. Because at Bama, he's like, some of his best friends is, Jalen Waddle and Mac Jones and, Mechie and all these guys. And he's just like, you don't understand. Like, I go after practice to get extra work in and go get treatment and go get film. And it's like, it's not just me doing it to try to get edge. They're doing it more than I am. Like, they're that talented. They run the 4.3s and can catch anything and run these insane routes, can jump out of the gym and all this shit. But like, they also put the work in. And to me, that was a really, really cool opportunity to just hear, like, this is why they've had success. Like, that's why they've built, that's why they're having successful NFL careers and such, versus, again, not a dig at any of my boys. I love all of them, but like, we had some dudes, but there was a lot of meat left on the bone, where after practice, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get my 10 jugs in. That's it. Or hey, it's Monday film, and like, yeah, I'm gonna be there week 1, but by week 3, like, yeah, I'm gonna sleep in. I'll probably get an ice bath later today. Like, these dudes would taper off. And being a competitor, I look for any edge, any angle I could possibly be. We talked about special teams. Like, I don't give a fuck what it's gonna do, what it's gonna take to win. I'm gonna do it. Like, if there's a path, there's an opportunity, I'm gonna do it. I tried to go to the fucking Olympics because they're like, if you could do this, then you have a chance at representing Team USA in an Olympic game. That was enough for me to be like, yeah, if there's an opportunity, like, let me capitalize on it. But to hear, like, to see the difference of, there was guys at Fresno State that some of them would participate, and I used it to my advantage because let me beat them out in the long game. Versus these guys at Bama, the reason that they've all had success for such a long time there is because that standard was just upheld. And I do believe Fresno State does have a standard. Like, I truly believe that Fresno State's standard is you better win your championship and you better win. And you play who you play on your schedule, and you expect to win any game. It doesn't matter if it's number 1 in the country. It doesn't matter if it's the defending national champ. It does not matter. You go into any arena like a soldier and you go and you fucking do what you have to do to win the game. Whatever it takes. Not every school in the country thinks like that, especially at our level, right? And they're trying to divide the group of 5 versus Power 5 right now. I think that whole thing's complete bullshit, personally. It's my podcast. I could say whatever I want on it. But it's not true. And, you know, I have buddies and I have guys who come on this pod who had great NFL careers, who never went to a bowl game, who have never won a ring, who have never played in a championship game from 8th grade to their 6th year in the NFL. And I'm just like, damn, you didn't even get to play in the New Mexico Bowl? Like, you didn't even get to go to Hawaii for the Hawaii Bowl? Like, you didn't even get to, not win, but you didn't even get to go? Like, yeah, we were kind of, that wasn't really the standard there. We don't really care. We kind of gave up. Like, some teams' championships is coming into Fresno State and it being competitive. Like, the standard is high here, not just on a Mountain West standard of play, on a national scale. And I guarantee you, the Michigan coaching staff, I'm bringing them up because they're let's just say it how it is. They're a big dog this year. They are preaching, do not sleep on Fresno State. I guarantee you, Fresno State, over generations, over decades, has continuously chopped wood and carried water enough and punched enough people in the mouth enough to say, do not sleep on these dudes. Do not expect for this to be a cakewalk. That respect has been earned. Now, you know, the game's got to get played in between the lines for 60 minutes and see what happens, but that has been earned, and that standard is so high to where when you go into that Fresno State locker room, like, there's enough generations that they're like, yo, you better uphold this shit. And Tedford is the ultimate example. You know, Tedford's not going to let that shit drop. The standard is the standard.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and you know, like you said, you know, there's places, you know, like the Alabamas that have done what they've done, right? But now, don't get me wrong though. Like, there's the great ones. They're the ones that do the extra work. They're the ones that meet that standard. Insane, you know. And so, you know, I think that ultimately, when you look at our program here, right, and you start talking standards and you start talking championships, like, I mean, we're gonna talk about winning the Mountain West Championship. Like, we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
Now, again, there's other things that we are trying to accomplish along the way, but like, that's not something that we shy away from, and we recruit to that. We're looking for guys that are about that. Yep. You know, and you know, I think that, you know, when you talk about guys, you know, that didn't get to experience some of those bowl games and those things, you know, like, ultimately, that's why you come to a place like Fresno State. Like, you come here because you are competing to play for championships. Like, this is a team game, no matter what we want to talk about. Like, NIL, this, that, transfer, whatever. Like, this is a team game. Like, they're like, without the players, there's no me. Yep. And without the other 10 guys, like, there's not an 11th guy. Like, you know, like, this is a team game, the ultimate team game. And so, you know, really, like, that's what we recruit. We recruit guys that are about that.
This might be a bar, but rings speak louder than words.
Oh,
I mean, why do you play the game? To win. That's it. At the end of the day, almost, it's like, yeah, there's lessons, there's friendships. Some of my best friends play football. You play to win.
We when I was in Northern Iowa, the year I got there 2017, and in 2016 they had a couple different, you know, FCS that would, like, defensive player of the year. I can't remember. They had a couple different individual award winners. And I'll never forget it. We got all their plaques in. But this was the year before. I think they got like 5-6. They missed the playoffs for the first time in, you know, however many years. That coach was like, I want rings, not plaques. He's like, we got a whole bunch of individuals that are good players. I want rings, not plaques.
True.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A really good way to put it.
It's true. How many rings you got?
From coaching college football?
Yeah.
2022 Mountain West Championship. And then the LA Bowl
in Mexico.
And then we'll get the New Mexico Bowl.
Did you get those? You get the New Mexico Wolverines hit?
So those three.
Shit, big year. Any last words you got for me before I wrap this up?
Man, just ready if we can put the ball down.
Ball down, baby. Ball down. We got to make the ball down. Checker flag, checkerboard like the end zone, the ball down. Put juice on the back, something like that. Something hot. Pat, I appreciate your time, man. This has been absolutely electric. Good vibes, a lot of wisdom for any stage of life. I feel like you're a young buck trying to see if you want to play college football. All right, here you go. You're a mom or dad who thinks they want their kid to play football someday. This is what you got to look forward to. You're an old head who once played. Yeah, you know what the fuck we're talking about, baby. You're a Fresno State fan. Get your ass to the games this year because Pat's going to be on the sidelines getting rowdy, going bombs over Baghdad, baby. God, I love it. Pat, I appreciate you. We're going to put the ball down. We're going to stay fired up. Be sure to subscribe, unsubscribe, follow Pat. Wait, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Follow Pat on the gram. And go Dogs, baby.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. That's all I got. We'll see you next week.